Kawhi Leonard is withdrawing from the Olympic roster.
What a shock.
And will be replaced. Multiple reports indicate that Celtics guard Derek White will replace him.
Oh, I love that.
On the roster.
Oh, I love that.
You like the Derek White ad?
I would have taken Derek White over him. I think Derek White's on a short list of the most underrated players in the league. I think Derek White's fantastic. Both ends of the floor, willing teammate, great defender, can get buckets. Yeah, I mean, the Kawhi Leonard thing, I just do not understand this fascination. Well, I mean, you could be the best herdline news guy ever. If you're here only 2 out of 5 days a week, at some point, I'm over. Like, I need you to be available, my quarterback or my star basketball player.
That's part of the deal, being available.
Yeah.
He also said before, because this is an odd story, another odd story was when he said, losing Paul George to Philly, it doesn't really change my approach. I don't really understand what the Clippers are doing.
I don't at all.
Definitely don't understand what Kawhi Leonard's doing. When he says yesterday, I'm looking forward to the Canada game. I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and he's now withdrawing. Jordan with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd.
I'm back. It is great to have you in live in Los Angeles. It's The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. First of all, tip of the cap, thank you. Danny Parkins, Ashley Brewer filled in last couple of days. Totally appreciate that. Jordan Schultz filling in for J-Mac rest of the week. How are things?
My man, doing great. Not as good as Rhode Island, though.
Rhode Island was wonderful, but it is good to be back. And it got me thinking. I would have every day to myself in the mornings. I'd go take the new dog, go out. And it got me thinking about why I love sports. And talking to a lot of people in Rhode Island. One of the things, I was listening to sports radio in Boston for a couple days. One of the things I love about sports, the pressure, the adult conversations. It's not too mean to talk about somebody's age. There's a lot of pressure, and you got to win now. I was thinking outside of Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Jim Harbaugh, and Matt LaFleur, 4 coaches in the entire sport. If any other coach had a bad season, they're in big trouble. Kyle Shanahan has a losing record without Christian McCaffrey. That roster goes 7-10. You don't think there's heat on Kyle Shanahan? What about John Harbaugh? They wanted to run him out of town 3 years ago. You think they finished 3rd or 4th in that division? There's not heat? Even the rookie coaches. You get off to a bad start by Thanksgiving. We got the wrong guy. You can even make the criticism in sports personal. Pete Carroll, though he has the energy of a 17-year-old after a bag of Skittles. He is in his 70s. That's an adult conversation. Not a lot of coaches got into their 70s and were at their best. Bill Belichick, 6 rings, even named a boat after it. He feels a bit like a dinosaur. You can have those conversations. Brian Daboll not only got Daniel Jones to the playoffs, he won a game with Daniel Jones. He won a game. He goes 6-11, he probably gets fired. And I think he's a great coach. That's what's great about sports. That's not the downside. 5 of the last 8 NBA coaches of the year got fired from the team they won the award. Expectations, adult conversations. Win now, you're paid a lot. Yet in the Democratic Party, it's considered ageist, harsh, mean to have discussions about Joe Biden's age. His mental acuity? I don't know. It feels like the president's a fairly important job. I read that people were caught off guard by his regression. You don't have iPhones? Grow up. Have a real conversation. People were having conversations and questioning it 4 years ago. But in politics, I'm uncomfortable. Not in sports. Not in sports. Dak Prescott. You make Patrick Mahomes money. Win more when it counts. I love Lamar Jackson. Another stinker in the playoffs. Time for real heat. Sean McDermott keeps winning his division. I'm sorry, Josh Allen's too good not to end up in Super Bowls. Those aren't the downsides to it. It's why I defended vigorously the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark discussions. The girls could handle it. The women were fine. It was all the fragile sports media asking weird, dorky questions and being uncomfortable with it. The women were great. Caitlin's going to be fine. Angel Reese is crushing it. And you should push back on fragile sports media if they're outraged by things that are happening to everybody. I enjoy politics every 4 years, but the reason I love sports is accountability and adult conversations and debate at home, on a show, in a bar, real people talking about real things, pressurized situations. Don't let sports become politics. Again, 5 of the last 8 NBA head coaches, gonzo. We want more. Dak Prescott, yes, you win 12 games a year, just none when it matters. So that's my takeaway. 17 days off. Sports has some politics in it. Let's never let it become politics. I like what it is now. And sometimes it's harsh and tough and almost mean and a little rude. And we debate, sometimes over a beer. And it's what I love about sports and what drives me crazy about politics. I'm sorry. For the last 4 years, I don't watch a lot of TikTok. But I either have singing goats or Joe Biden gaffes. It's okay to talk about it, really. The democracy thing, it's kind of important. The other thing that was notable to me, and I don't know why it gets people worked up, but man, I must have had a half dozen people ask me about this. They were talking about it coast to coast on sports radio. Colin, what do you make of Bronny James being drafted? I don't know. Isn't it kind of an understanding in America? You do me well, I owe you a solid. That's like a given, right? I take you to the airport, you're buying the next dinner, I help you move, I get a little something, something back. Like that's the American way. LeBron James has carried the NBA for 20 years. He didn't have a long playoff run this year. Did you see the NBA ratings? As every other sport, WNBA, Copa, Euros, college football, up. NBA ratings, tank. No LeBron. He carried the Lakers, not a well-run franchise, for 6 years, got him a title. Number 1 brand in the league. Carried the Cavs for 11 years. They've never mattered except when he played there. Got him a title. You owe me dinner if I help you move. If I carry your sport, get you a new TV contract worth $7 billion. You got a problem with Bronny James getting drafted by the Lakers? It's the weakest NBA draft in maybe ever. In fact, what's funny is the Milwaukee Bucks, 30 picks earlier, drafted a kid out of Australia that played 8 minutes a game in Australia and averaged less than Bronny. It shows how polarizing LeBron James is. I had more people ask me about that on the East Coast. And my takeaway is, you're really bothered by it? Let me ask you this. Let's say you've done well in your life and you have a favorite steakhouse in your small, middle-size, or big town. And you go to that steakhouse or the pasta joint and you buy a lot of wine for years. You spend a lot of money at that steakhouse. You know what I mean? You've taken a lot of business dinners at that steakhouse. You didn't have to. You chose to. Don't you, after a few years, feel like you get a little better pour on that Pinot? Maybe get you a better table? Damn straight you do. And so do I. We all have expectations. We seek favors. We all get a little entitled if we give you something. LeBron James has carried the league for 20 years. He and Steph Curry have carried the league. Neither made a playoff run this year. Ratings went to the tank as everything else is. The Copa and the Euros are going through the roof. NBA with a lot of good players. Global sport, tanked. No LeBron, no Steph. Yeah, I'm okay in the weakest draft ever. The Lakers going, we'll do you a solid. in the 5 previous years before LeBron got to the Lakers, I could be wrong on this, I think they had the worst record in the league.